If you knew Jesus was going to show up in person somewhere nearby, would you go visit him? Did you know that's really possible right now, today? Jesus said to visit prisoners. Good morning and welcome to the 755 Live. For about 5 minutes, you'll hear all about an easy-to-remember soundbite version of what Jesus said. The point is to help you experience life to the fullest the Jesus way. Today's Jesus said comes from Matthew chapter 25, verses 35 through 36. So we're going to go ahead and get into this. Matthew chapter 25, starting in verse 35. He says, "For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you took care of me. I was in prison, and you visited me." So in Matthew 25, Jesus is talking about the end times. People are always asking about that. Even now, people are always asking about that, especially with all the craziness going on, all the stuff that seems to be pointing, at that. Jesus was explaining that the very end of all times, Judgment Day, when we stand before the Lord, he says everybody was going to be separated into two groups, two different eternal destinies, heaven or hell. He uses the analogy of dividing sheep from goats. So what's the difference? The pop quiz, if you want to call it that, at the day of judgment, is all about how you treated the least of these. The hungry, the poor, the outcast, the stranger, literally immigrants, and even prisoners. That's not a pop quiz you want to fail. There's no makeup test, there's no do-overs, and really it shouldn't even be a surprise because Jesus started his ministry by talking about what he was there for. Starting in Luke chapter 4, verse 17, he says, "And the scroll of the prophet Isaiah was given to him. He unrolled the scroll and found the place where it was written, 'The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives and the regaining of sight to the blind, and to set free those who are oppressed, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor.' And then he rolls up the scroll, gave it back to the attendant, and sat down. The eyes of everyone in the synagogue were fixed on him. Then he began to tell them, 'Today this scripture has been fulfilled, even as you heard it being read.'" So let's talk about this. Jesus started his ministry and even basically explained how he was going to live his life. Our example, he says, I'm here to proclaim the good news to the poor. He's been anointed to do that. He has been sent to proclaim release to the captives. You think about prisoners, the release of the captives, the regaining of sight to the blind. So he's saying, I'm here for those people who can't help themselves. I'm here to set people free who are bound, whether that's sickness, prison, their own minds, whatever it is. Jesus is saying, those are the people I'm here for. So let's think about this. If you knew Jesus was going to show up, again, you see a flyer, Jesus is showing up downtown, would you go? I mean, I know I would. And he's saying, what if your eternal destiny depended on it? Reading in Matthew 25, 37 through 40, Jesus made it clear that the people who went to him, who passed that eternal test of helping those who can't help themselves, the least of these, they were actually doing it for Jesus. He said, "And you visited me, and you did it for me." But just the opposite was true of those people who didn't do it, who failed the test, the goats, if you want to say that. He says, "You didn't do those things literally for me." And, there's going to be a lot of but Jesus, I did this for you. I cast out demons in your name. I healed in your name. I did all these things in your name. And he's going to say, "I never knew you. You failed the test." Because the test isn't about how great the things are going to be that you do, how much influence you're going to have. That's not what's going to matter. At the end of the day, it's going to matter, did you reach out to those people who needed Jesus? Did you reach out to those people who couldn't help themselves? Were you Jesus to the least of these? Did you feed those who were hungry? Did you visit those who were oppressed? Did you help and help and help, just as Jesus did? And, not everyone is called to visit people in prisons. Not everyone's called to visit people in jails. It's not so much a rule as it is a principle. There are a lot of different kinds of prisons. There's loneliness, there's poverty, there's oppression, there's sickness. You want to see Jesus, go to those people. Reach out to the least of these. And that's what he's saying we need to do. So thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, I hope you like, you comment, you share. We really appreciate it when y'all are doing that for us. I really appreciate you. I hope you have an amazing day and that this has helped you to live life to the fullest, the Jesus way. So remember, visit people in prison. Visit people who need it. Help those that can't help themselves. And remember to follow Jesus today. And we end everything by saying, love first. Thank you, guys.